Let's move to last year's division winners. We'll go to the Philadelphia Eagles, who continue to just stack and stack and stack this roster. I don't know how they do it. They play the cap just as well as Brett Veach.
Howie Roseman, baby.
Howie Roseman is a madman when it comes to the cap room and talent acquisition. Where do we sit on the Philadelphia Eagles this upcoming 2024-2025 season?
I'm excited to see if they're going to get back to the Eagles of old and actually compete. I know they had a lot of trouble last year whenever they lost both their coaches, going to the Colts and the Cardinals. That really messed them up a lot, especially on offense. Bringing in a guy like Saquon, and you want to be a run heavy offense. That has all the excitement you need in it. You got AJ Brown and Devonta Smith on the outside, so hopefully they're running more than just the three regular plays they used to run.
I don't
One
know.
of them
I
being the
think
tush push.
adding Saquon was a nice headline move, and something to get the NFL followers engaged in what they're doing. But do I think he upgrades their offense that much from DeAndre Swift? I really don't.
But I
I
don't
think
think they
it's
needed it. I really don't think they needed a
right.
huge upgrade. I mean, when you got the guys on the outside, I think the biggest thing that they did though is what they did on defense. I mean, the guys they brought in, I mean, they draft Cooper DeJean, they have CJ Gardner Johnson they bring in, Quinion Mitchell, and you got Devin White too that you bring in. I mean, that's a lot of moves to that defense that
I
really needed it.
forgot they got Devin White. Oh
Yeah.
shit.
That's a lot of guys on that defense that really make a difference.
Yeah, and I mean it's gonna come down to the locker room and how they gel because we saw the disparagement at the end of the season last year. Like, is that going to continue? Is that going to carry over into this season, or do they have that shit figured out? I think it's going to be harder for Saquon to eat in that offense. But damn, you look at both sides of the ball, and they're back to where they were on their Super Bowl run. Like, this is one of the best rosters in the NFL.
Yeah, and I think the big thing too is that I want to see, and I'm very curious to see, and I think a lot of people are, how much does the loss of Jason Kelsey hurt too? I mean, he's a guy that's just been a staple in that locker room, and not only in the locker room, but just for the quarterback in general. So I'm really interested to see how that loss hurts the Eagles.
Yeah, that's your offensive line play caller, protection giver. They didn't even rely on Jalen Hurts to call a protection. You know how rare that is for a quarterback not to call the protection.
Hall
Uh,
of Fame level center, man.
I mean, Tybo, you know how difficult this is. I don't think you guys played offensive line at all, but being able to see in that small box, sitting in a 3-point stance and being able to call out exactly where the percussion pressure is coming from, that is super difficult. And now that all that is now added pressure that goes on to Jalen to be able to call those protections as needed instead of having that offensive a veteran who's there and been able to see the game. But you guys are 100% right. And I think one of the things that's being overlooked is the depth that this team has. You've got AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, but you've also got these other guys who are coming in behind there that you've still got Dallas Goddard, who, if he can stay healthy, you've got CJ Uzama, who's been in the league forever, who is actually third on their depth chart behind former Oklahoma tight end Grant Calcaterra, who a lot of people aren't going to know, and that's fine. And he'll probably sit behind Dallas Goddard until he gets injured. But once he busts onto the scene, be worried about him. That's another tight end in the league that can bust out. And then, Saquon has his injury problems. If he goes down, guess what? They still have Kenneth Gainwell. They've got Tyron Davis Prince. So the depth on this offensive side is still something to be beholden to. It's not just their starters. Howie
How can
Roseman
they
is
stay
a
healthy?
genius. That is the question of all questions, because if it starts to go down, it's gonna go back onto head coach numbnuts over there who doesn't know how to run a locker room. Hopefully, their security guard on the sideline doesn't get kicked out again.
Big Dome.
One thing real quick on the center position. I think it'll be. It depends on who they got, because if their backup center had been with Jason Kelsey for a season or two, I think that transition is going to be a little more seamless. Forgive me for not knowing who their
Cam
backup center
Jurgens.
was. Oh, okay. I did know that name. Um,
You would.
so
He just knew the last name.
no, I recognize that guy's name. I want to say Cam's played guard in the league. But so honestly, that transition should be a little more seamless than we're really thinking. Like that's a NFL starter caliber center that's going to fill in for him. Whether or not he's calling the protections, that remains to be seen. But I think being around Jason Kelce and absorbing the knowledge that he had, I think they're probably set up pretty nicely. And that offensive line has studs everywhere else. So
I'm just looking at this roster, and I'm this is wild. Totally forgot they picked up Kenny Pickett.
Oh,
oh,
Listen, they might need him.
drastically reducing the average hand size on the team.
Let's pick this one over under. Vegas has them at 12.5.
A very solid
Yeah,
number.
these are all way too high. There's no way they're going to have 4 teams in the same division, all at 10.5 wins or more.
I think they've been close before.
Especially in this division. What are we talking about?
I'll take the over.
I was also going to take the over. I'm hoping for the entertainment's sake that their locker room problems are a thing of the past. Until they get to the Super Bowl and have to face us, then they can all fall to shit. But
I think I'll take the under. I think they finish at 11 or 12 wins. I just don't think they quite get that number 13. I mean, yes, they've got the roster to do it, but they haven't really shown the last year or so that they can kind of get over that hump when adversity strikes. So I will take the under on that.
Yeah, they do not have the coach for this. They are not prepared at any moment in time. They could be exciting, but they're not going to get 12.5 wins or more. Give me the under.
Split right down the middle.